You're sitting there scrolling through endless product pages, wondering if you're about to drop a chunk of your budget on a screen that will sit idle most of the day, or, worse, end up being a disappointment in the very room you needed it for. I get it. The last thing you want is to spend hard-earned money on a display that looks great on paper, but turns out to be a hassle when you actually need it to work. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. The NEC V484 is a 48-inch commercial-grade display that sits in that sweet spot between a typical office monitor and a full-blown video wall. It's marketed as ultra-high definition, but the spec sheet says it's Full HD 19201080, paired with a solid 500 candelas per m of brightness and an anti-reflective coating. Those numbers might sound like jargon, so let's break down what they really mean for you day-to-day. First off, the brightness. In a conference room with windows that let in a lot of daylight, a typical 250 candelas per m office monitor will end up looking washed out, forcing you to crank up the volume on your laptop speaker or squint at a faint image. At 500 candelas per m, the NEC pushes enough light to stay vivid even when the blinds are open. I've seen it used in a university lecture hall where the projector-style screens would be drowned out by sunlight, and the presenter could still read fine print slides without moving the screen to a darker corner. If your environment has any ambient light at all, that brightness is a real practical benefit, not just a marketing line. The anti-reflective surface is the next piece of the puzzle. The coating isn't a full and matte finish that kills contrast, but it does diffuse glare enough that you don't end up with a mirror effect when someone walks past the display. In a busy office lobby, you'll often have people standing right in front of the screen, and the NEC handles that without turning the content into a washed-out blur. That makes it a solid choice for digital signage where you want the graphics to stay legible all day. Now, let's talk about color. NEC SpectraView Engine is a proprietary suite that calibrates color, intensity, gamma, and uniformity across the panel. In plain English, you get a more consistent picture from edge to edge. I've compared it side by side with a cheaper 48-inch TV that claimed vibrant colors, and the NEC's white stayed true while the competitor's corners showed a yellow tint after just a few minutes. For businesses that need brand-accurate colors, think retail displays, corporate branding videos, or medical imaging, the uniformity you get from SpectraView can actually protect your brand image. One of the standout practical features is the built-in media player. You can plug a USB stick or an SD card directly into the back, and the screen will loop videos, slideshows, or audio without needing a separate computer. In a small restaurant I visited, the owner set up a simple USB drive with daily specials and a short welcome video, and the screen ran it all day, freeing up the kitchen staff from fiddling with a laptop. For any environment where you need a set-and-forget display, lobbies, waiting rooms, or training rooms, that media player cuts down on extra hardware and cables. The modular expansion option is something you won't hear about on most consumer screens. NEC designed the V484 to accept additional modules, like Open Pluggable Application, OPA, or other future upgrades. If today you only need a simple display, you can start with the base unit, and a few years down the line you could add an OPA module to run Android apps, or a different media player without swapping out the whole panel. It's a small but forward-thinking detail that could save you money if your tech needs evolve. All these strengths make the V484 a compelling buy for certain buyers, but it's not a universal solution. The biggest trade-off is resolution. While 1080p is still fine for most presentations, it's not 4K. If you're a design studio that needs ultra-sharp detail for high-resolution graphics, or a home theater enthusiast looking for the crispiest image, you'll notice the pixel density when you sit close. The screen size also means you need a decent amount of wall space. In a cramped meeting room, a 48-inch panel can dominate the wall and limit where you can place other equipment. Price is another practical consideration. Commercial-grade panels carry a premium over consumer TVs, and the NEC V484 is no exception. It sits in a higher price bracket, which makes sense given its brightness, color engine, and modular potential. But you have to ask yourself whether those features are essential for your use case. If you're a small startup looking for a budget display to run occasional slide decks, a regular 55-inch 4K TV might give you more pixels for less money, albeit with lower brightness and no built-in media player. So who should buy it? If you run a corporate conference room that sees daily presentations, a university lecture hall, a hospital waiting area, or a retail space where brand-accurate color and